Yo, welcome. So, based on the conversation that is currently being had in the music industry regarding, white reggae band Soldier winning the Grammy Award ahead of reggae artists, many artists are chiming in, giving their 2 cents. And Black Ryno, he decided to blame the demise of the Jamaican music industry on Bad Mind. This is what he wrote on his Instagram page. Bad Mind killed Jamaican music. The generation before mine, DJ selectors and artists. Bad Mind, you fuck. The whole of them fight young artists for their friends in music. This means that, they're fighting out young artists in order to promote their own friends, and that is a fact in the music industry. He continued, payola came about when one of your favorite dancehall artists started playing radio jocks and selectors to not play artists he had problems with. And those artists were very good to enhance the culture. Baby Sham, Lexus, Vegas were all held back because of Bad Mind, and it became common ever since. So we know that Baby Sham, Lexus, Vegas, they all had problem with Bounty Killer at one point in their careers. So apparently, Black Ryno is obviously throwing a job at Bounty Killer. However, I wouldn't say I knew the in and outs of the relationships between Bounty Killer and Black Ryno, but Black Ryno should not blame his demise solely at the feet of Bounty Killer. His demise is basically a result of him leaving Portmore Empire. And if anyone, should be accountable for the demise of Black Ryno's career, it would most definitely be Vibes Cartel. But he is not bold enough to go against Vibes Cartel and that machinery behind Vibes Cartel and that clout behind Vibes Cartel at this time. There are not many artists that can stand up to a Vibes Cartel as it relates to his sheer fan base, influence, and powerhouse. So it's easier to go against someone like Bounty Killer, who is past his prime and past his heyday. Bounty Killer does not hold that clout in the music industry anymore. I mean, in which he can say something and say, hey, do not support this artist or whatnot. And it goes that way. So I think Black Ryno is aiming his guns, so to speak, at an easy target. Rather than saying Vibes Cartel is the one that, caused my career to decline, But nevertheless, what he said definitely had some truth to it. The music industry has been plagued with a lot of bias over the years, when many young artists have been blackballed by bigger stars, biased radio DJs who only wants to play their friends, DJs who only play music based on who is basically paying them to play. And that is why now you also see where a lot of scammers are becoming artists, because they can basically afford to buy themselves career, because these hungry belly DJs will collect anything and play anything once it's of a economical benefit to them. They don't really care about the content of the music, the quality of the music you're paying, then I'm working with you. And so some of what Black Ryno highlighted really does have some reality to it. In addition to that, like some icons, they really did blackball artists, especially if you're not from my camp, you're from a rival camp. Therefore, I am going to see to it that your music does not get played. So he's not lying. I only have an issue with the fact that he's pointing fingers on Bounty Killer, blaming Bounty Killer for the entire demise of the music industry, when in fact, if it was not for Bounty Killer, a lot of the artists that we celebrate today would not have had a career, including Black Ryno, because Black Ryno is from Vibes Cartel stable. Vibes Cartel is from Bounty Killer's stable. Tommy Lee, Sparta, Popcorn, all of those artists, Gaza Slim, they came from Vibes Cartel stable. So Bounty Killer is responsible for, I would say, 90% of dancehall music. So Bounty Killer, even though he may have his flaws, he may have blackballed those who are his oppositions in music, but Bounty Killer is definitely not a bad mind person. I wouldn't say Bounty Killer is a hater or or someone who has been detrimental to dancehall. If anything else, Bounty Killer has been one of the best things that has ever happened to dancehall music. You know what I mean? So definitely Black Rhino, what he said is not correct right there. But I can understand where Black Rhino is coming from. Himself being a pioneer, himself being under-respected in the music industry. Now, for many who don't know or who choose to ignore this, Black Rhino was the one who came in with that nasal flow that was later popularized by Popcorn. Many persons have come to give Movado and Popcorn all the credit for bringing melodies and singing into hardcore dancehall. However, Black Rhino was that one. He was that kid that brought in that nasal singing with melody, and of course, it was perfected by the genius who was mixing his songs at the time. If you should think back, Black Rhino was actually leading in the heyday of Portmore Empire, aside from Deverbrat, who, was out of the gate with some hit songs of his own. But Black Rhino was the face of the youth in Portmore Empire. So much so that even Ja Vinci, who had better vocals, was trying to mimic the sound of Black Rhino. It may not have been intentional. I'm not disrespecting Ja Vinci in any way, but his earlier songs, many fans could not tell who was who because they sounded so similar. And to be frank, that does happen sometimes when artists spend a lot of time around each other. They don't really intend to deliver with the same flow, but it normally does happen. And so Ja Vinci sounded like Black Rhino, and Popcorn, who later joined the crew after those two, had the same flow, and he later perfected it to the flow that he's known for today. So Black Rhino definitely deserves his flowers as a pioneer. And he said it before, a few years ago when he was doing his exploits, trying to make a comeback at Sting. He alluded to it in a few diss songs aimed at Popcorn, stating that, hey, you followed my style, you took my style, you took my pattern. And in fact, he was speaking the truth, So the thing with a lot of Jamaican fans, they are very biased, They are very disloyal and they are very forgetful. So they forget the work of this man. But Black Rhino is no scrub and is definitely responsible for the new sound of dancehall. I'm out.